The dust on planet Kepler 442 had not moved in 10,000 years. Captain Minho stood at the edge of the massive stone monument, his helmet lights cutting through the darkness. Behind him, Dr. Jiwon worked carefully, brushing away centuries of sand from the carved symbols. This was the 7th dead world they had found in 3 years. 7 civilizations all gone, all silent. "Captain, you need to see this," Jiwon said quietly. Her voice cracked through the radio. Minho walked over, his boots leaving prints in the untouched dust. He looked at the symbols she had uncovered. They were strange, flowing marks that seemed to move in the light. "Can you read it?" he asked. Jiwon nodded slowly. Her hands were shaking. "Yes, and it's the same as the others." Lieutenant Hyejin joined them, her weapon ready as always. She never trusted dead planets. The same message again? "Almost word for word," Jiwon whispered. She pointed to the carved stone. "It says we fell because we sought what the Blue Worlders guard. Turn back. They protect something far worse than themselves." Minho felt cold despite his suit's heating system. Blue Worlders. That's what the last 3 called us. 4, Jiwon corrected. The civilization on Tau Ceti called us the Azure Guardians. Same meaning. Engineer Doyen's voice came through the radio from the ship above. "Captain, I'm picking up similar monuments across the entire planet. Hundreds of them. All facing the same direction." "Which direction?" Minho asked. There was a pause. "Toward Earth, sir." "They're all pointing toward Earth." Hyejin checked her scanner. This civilization died suddenly. No signs of war, no disease markers. One day they were here, the next day nothing. Jiwon stood up and walked to the edge of the monument platform. Below them, the ruins of a great city stretched for miles. Towers had fallen. Streets were empty. Everything was covered in that ancient, undisturbed dust. "They were more advanced than us," she said softly. "Their technology was at least 200 years ahead of where we are now. And something made them disappear in days, maybe hours." Minho looked at the message again. 7 worlds, 7 warnings, all pointing back to Earth, all saying the same thing. Humans were guarding something. Something worse than humans themselves. "We need to report this," Hyejin said. She was always practical. "Command needs to know." "They already know," Minho replied. "We've sent 6 reports. They keep telling us to investigate further." Doyen's voice interrupted again. "Captain, I've been looking at the star charts we recovered from the previous worlds. I found something strange." "Show me," Minho said. His helmet display lit up with a holographic map. Stars and planets appeared in blue light. Doyen highlighted several systems in red. "These are all the dead civilizations we've found. Look at the pattern." Minho studied the map. The dead worlds formed a rough circle, and at the center of that circle, far away from all of them, was a single yellow star. Earth's sun. They were surrounding us. Jiwon breathed, keeping their distance. "Not just distance," Doyen added. "I checked the records. There's a gap. A huge empty zone around Earth's solar system. No colonies, no outposts, nothing. These civilizations never came close to us." Hyejin's hand moved to her weapon. Because they were afraid. Minho thought about that. Civilizations that could travel between stars. That had technology beyond human understanding. All afraid of Earth. Not just afraid of humans, but afraid of what humans were supposedly guarding. "There's more," Jiwon said. She pulled up data on her tablet. "I've been studying the timeline. These civilizations didn't all die at the same time. The oldest ruins are 3 million years old. The newest are from just 10,000 years ago. So they lasted for millions of years," Minho said. "Yes. But here's the interesting part. Each one left these warnings shortly before they died. And they all died within 50 years of leaving the warning. It's like they discovered something about Earth, left a message, and then something destroyed them." The wind picked up, blowing dust across the monument. Minho watched it swirl in his lights. 50 years. That was nothing for civilizations that had lasted millions of years. What could destroy them so quickly? Hyejin asked. No one answered. Doyen spoke from the ship. "Captain, I'm getting a priority message from Galactic Command. Admiral Soman wants to speak with you directly." Minho walked back toward the shuttle. "Put her through." Admiral Soman's face appeared on his display. She looked tired, older than he remembered. "Captain Kim, I've read your latest report. You're ordered to continue the investigation. Admiral, with respect, we have 7 dead worlds all warning us about Earth. Don't you think we should..." "Should what, Captain? Go home and hide?" "These are old warnings from dead civilizations. They don't tell us anything concrete. They tell us that something on Earth is dangerous," Minho argued. "Something that destroyed 7 advanced species. Or they tell us that ancient aliens were superstitious and afraid of things they didn't understand, Admiral Soman replied sharply. Humanity has been on Earth for 200,000 years. We've explored every corner of our planet. There's nothing there but us. Then why did they all leave the same warning? Admiral Soman leaned forward. That's what you're going to find out, Captain. We've located 3 more dead worlds in nearby sectors. You will investigate them and report back. Those are your orders. The transmission ended. Jiwan looked at Minho. Are we really doing this? Minho looked back at the monument, at the warning carved in stone by beings who had died trying to tell others to stay away from Earth. He thought about his family back home. His daughter, who was 7 years old, who loved to play in the garden and look up at the stars. Was she living on top of something terrible? Was everyone on Earth? We don't have a choice, he said finally. We follow orders. But everyone stays alert. If we find anything that suggests immediate danger, we run. Understood? Understood, Hyejin said. Doyon agreed over the radio. Jiwan just nodded, still staring at the ancient warning. They returned to the shuttle and lifted off, leaving the dead world behind. As they climbed toward their ship, Minho looked down at the ruins. Thousands of monuments all pointing toward Earth, all left by people who had died trying to warn the galaxy about humanity's home. The question burned in his mind. What were humans guarding? And why didn't they know about it? Somewhere in the darkness of space, Earth continued its slow spin around the sun. Billions of humans went about their lives, not knowing that dead civilizations had feared their world for millions of years, not knowing that something on their planet was considered worse than humanity itself. The horizon's edge jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading toward the next dead world. Minho sat in his captain's chair, unable to shake the feeling that they were heading toward an answer he didn't want to find. Behind them, on that dusty planet, the monuments stood silent and waiting. Their warning was clear, carved in stone that would last another 1,000,000 years. Turn back. They guard something worse. The 8th dead world was different. The ruins here were older, buried deeper, but the city had been enormous. Dr. Sunho worked in the main archive building, surrounded by tablets and data crystals that had somehow survived 3,000,000 years. This civilization called themselves the Varath, he said, his voice echoing in the empty hall. They had colonies on 47 planets. They had defeated disease, hunger, even aging. They should have lived forever. Minho picked up one of the tablets. Even through his glove, he could feel how smooth it was. What happened to them? They made the same mistake, Sunho replied. He activated a hologram from one of the crystals. Symbols appeared in the air, glowing softly. They sent an expedition to Earth. Jiwan stopped her work. When? 3,000,000 years ago, give or take. They sent 12 ships to investigate what they called the Sealed World. Sunho read from the symbols. They wanted to know what was locked there. Locked? Hyejin moved closer. They knew something was imprisoned on Earth? Sunho nodded. According to this, many old civilizations knew. There are references to even older species, ones that existed before the Varath. Those ancient ones worked together to seal something on Earth. The Varath wanted to know what it was. And their ships? Minho asked. Never returned. They sent probes after that. Automated ones. Sunho pulled up another hologram. This one showed data streams, numbers, and readings that made no sense. The probes detected massive energy signatures deep in Earth's crust. Not on the surface, but miles below. The energy didn't match anything natural. It didn't match any technology they knew. Doyon studied the readings from the ship above. These numbers are incredible. If this is accurate, there's something under Earth putting out more energy than our entire sun. There's more, Sunho continued. After they got this data, something started happening to their civilization. People began having dreams. Terrible dreams about things locked away, about darkness waiting to be freed. Within 30 years, the Varath were gone. All 47 colonies empty. The team stood in silence. Outside, the wind howled through the dead city. Commander Ji-young's voice came through from the ship. She was the liaison from Galactic Command, sent to oversee their mission. This is speculation, she said firmly. Dreams and superstition don't destroy civilizations. Then what does? Jiwan asked sharply. We have 8 worlds now. 8 civilizations, all destroyed after investigating Earth. Correlation is not causation, Dr. Park. Minho ignored their argument. He was looking at another set of holograms Sunho had activated. These showed star maps, but they were strange. Empty spaces where stars should be. What am I looking at? He asked. A buffer zone, Sunho explained. The Varath records show that the older civilizations created it. They moved colonies away from Earth's region. They marked it as forbidden space. For 2 million years, no one went near Earth's solar system. Until the Varath got curious, Hyejin said. Until many species got curious, Sunho corrected. I've found records of 17 different expeditions to Earth from various civilizations. The earliest was 5 million years ago. The most recent was the Varath's mission. None of them came back. Minho felt a chill run down his spine. 17 expeditions, all lost. And humanity had no idea. Humans had evolved, built cities, created technology, never knowing that species from across the galaxy had died trying to reach their world. There's something else, Sunho said quietly. He pulled up another hologram. This one showed Earth's solar system, but from millions of years ago. The Varath had good sensors. They detected debris in orbit around Earth. Very old debris. From what? Doyen asked. From a battle. A massive one. The debris field suggests hundreds of ships fought near Earth approximately 65 million years ago. Jiwan's eyes went wide. 65 million years ago? That's when the dinosaurs died. The asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, Minho said slowly. Are you saying it wasn't an asteroid? Sunho shrugged. The Varath thought it might have been a weapon. Something used in the battle. Or something that happened when whatever is sealed on Earth tried to break free. Commander Ji-young spoke again, her voice tight. This is absurd. I'm recommending we end this investigation and return home. Finally, something sensible, Hyejin muttered. But Minho shook his head. We have orders to check 3 worlds. We've only checked 2. Captain, Ji-young started. We follow orders, Commander. 1 more world. The 3rd world was the hardest to reach. It sat on the edge of known space, orbiting a dying red star. The civilization here had been called the Kelvin. They had been artists and philosophers, a peaceful species that had lasted 4 million years. Their ruins were beautiful even in death. Towers of crystal rose from the ground, still catching the dim red light. Gardens had turned to dust, but the shapes remained. They found the warning in the central tower. It was not carved in stone or written on tablets. It was built into the tower itself, crystal shaped into words that glowed with their own light. Jiwan read it aloud, her voice shaking. We sought to understand what the Blue Worlders guard. We sent our brightest minds to speak with it, to learn from it. They heard its voice. They learned its name. We do not write the name here, for names have power. Within 1 year of hearing it, our civilization began to crumble. The voice spreads like disease. It promises knowledge, power, salvation. It lies. Turn back from the blue world. They do not guard it by choice. They guard it because they are the only ones it cannot fully consume. They are the cage. If they learn the truth, the cage will break. The galaxy will fall. Turn back, please, turn back. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, Doyen broke the silence. The only ones it cannot fully consume. What does that mean? I think, Ji-won said slowly, it means humans are immune, or partially immune, to whatever is sealed on Earth. How? Hyejin asked. Maybe because we evolved there, Ji-won suggested. Maybe living near it for millions of years made us resistant to its influence. Minho looked at the glowing warning. This one is different from the others. It's not just warning people to stay away. It's saying if humans find out what they're guarding, something terrible will happen. The cage will break, Sunho read again. They think humanity is the cage, that we're keeping something locked up without even knowing it. Commander Ji-young had been silent during all of this. Now she spoke and her voice was different. Quieter. Captain Kim, I need to show you something. It's classified, but given what we've found, you have clearance now. A new hologram appeared. It showed Earth, but with strange markings across its surface. What am I looking at? Minho asked. Seismic monitoring stations have been tracking unusual readings for 50 years. Deep underground vibrations that don't match any known geological activity. They come from 12 locations around the globe. The readings are getting stronger. Why wasn't this in any of the reports? Ji-won demanded. Because no one understood what it meant. We thought it was just strange earthquakes. But now with these warnings, Ji-young paused. I think something is waking up. Minho thought about his daughter. He thought about Earth's 8 billion people, all living their lives above something that had terrified species for millions of years. Something that was waking up. We need to go home, he said. Now. The horizon's edge turned toward Earth, engines pushing to maximum speed. Behind them, 3 dead worlds stood as monuments to species who had asked the wrong questions. Species who had sought knowledge and found only death. and ahead of them, Earth spun peacefully in space, unaware that its children were coming home with terrible news. Unaware that the cage was beginning to crack. The Horizon's Edge never made it to Earth orbit. 3 ships intercepted them at the edge of the solar system, military vessels that appeared the moment they dropped out of faster-than-light speed. Captain Kim, this is Agent Boram Shin of Earth Intelligence. Cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. Minho looked at his crew. Hyejin already had her hand on the weapon controls. Stand down, he told her quietly. Let them come aboard. Agent Boram was a small woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper voice. She came onto the bridge with 6 armed soldiers and immediately began downloading all their data. You've been asking dangerous questions, Captain, she said without looking at him. We've been following orders, Minho replied. Orders from people who don't know the full picture. Boram finally looked up from the computer. How much did you find? Enough to know that every human on Earth is living on top of something terrible, Jiwan said angrily. Enough to know that you've been hiding it. Boram nodded slowly. Yes, we've been hiding it. For good reason. She gestured to the soldiers. Come with me. There's someone you need to meet. They transferred to Boram's ship, which immediately jumped to Earth. But instead of going to the surface, they docked with a hidden station in high orbit. The station didn't appear on any maps. Its existence was classified at the highest level. Inside, they met Professor Yuna Cha. She was old, probably in her 80s, and she looked like she hadn't slept well in years. Welcome to Watchtower Station, Yuna said. We've been expecting you, Captain Kim. We've been tracking your investigation. Then you know what we found, Minho said. We know more than you found. Yuna pulled up a holographic display of Earth. This is what we've been hiding for 200 years. The hologram zoomed in, going through Earth's surface, through layers of rock and magma deeper and deeper. Finally, it stopped at 12 locations around the globe. At each location, strange structures appeared in the hologram. They were enormous, built from materials that shouldn't exist. Seal sites, Yuna explained. We call them that because they're sealing something in. They're not human-made. They predate our species by millions of years. What are they sealing? Sunho asked. Yuna was quiet for a moment. We don't know exactly. We call it the entity. The structures contain it, keep it locked in the Earth's core, but the seals are weakening. She pulled up more data. Graphs showed increasing energy readings over the past century. Human technology is breaking them. We didn't know at first. Deep mining operations in the 20th century damaged Seal Site 3. Quantum experiments in 2156 cracked Seal Site 7. Every major technological advancement we've made has inadvertently eroded the containment. The vibrations, Ji-young said. The seismic readings. Getting stronger every year, Yuna confirmed. It's waking up. And when it fully wakes, the seals will break. Minho felt sick. You've known about this for 200 years and done nothing? Nothing? Yuna's voice was sharp. We've done everything we could. We've tried to reinforce the seals. We've restricted mining and drilling near the sites. We've run thousands of simulations trying to find a way to strengthen the containment. Nothing works. The seals were built by technology we can't even begin to understand. Boram spoke up. Show them the rest, Yuna nodded. The hologram changed, showing ancient structures on Earth's surface. Pyramids, megalithic sites, temples that were supposedly built by ancient humans. These aren't human structures, Yuna said. They're part of the seal network. Ancient species built them before humans evolved. They've been here the entire time humanity has existed. Jiwan stared at the display. The pyramids? The stone circles? All of them? All of them. They're monitoring stations, built to watch the seals and maintain the containment field. For millions of years they worked perfectly. Then humans evolved. Why didn't the ancient species just destroy the entity? Hyejin asked. Because it can't be destroyed, Yuna replied. Every species that tried was wiped out. The only option was containment. And they chose Earth because of its unique properties. What properties? Minho asked. Yuna pulled up another display. This one showing Earth's magnetic field. Earth has an unusually strong magnetic field for a planet its size. The field acts as an additional layer of containment. But there's more. The ancient species did something to Earth. They altered it, prepared it. For what? For us, for humanity. Yuna looked at each of them. They knew the seals wouldn't last forever. They knew something would eventually evolve on Earth. So they influenced that evolution. They made sure whatever evolved here would be compatible with the containment system. You're saying humans were designed? Sunho's voice was barely a whisper. Not designed. Guided. Our evolution was nudged in certain directions. The result is that human neurological patterns are uniquely resistant to the entity's influence. It can't fully control us the way it could other species. Minho thought about the warnings they'd found. The cage will break if they learn the truth. That's why the other civilizations died, he said. They came to investigate and the entity reached out to them. It drove them mad or corrupted them. Yes, Yuna confirmed. But it can't do that to humans. Not easily. We're too close to it. We've evolved in its presence. It's like an immunity. But there's a cost. The hologram changed again, showing human history. Wars, violence, conflict spreading across millennia. Humanity's aggression, Jiwan breathed. Our violence. A side effect, Yuna said. Being near the entity has made humans more aggressive, more competitive, more driven than any other known species. It's why we developed technology so quickly. It's why we spread across Earth so fast. The entity's presence influenced us even though it couldn't control us. We're the jailers, Minho said. And we're infected by the thing we're holding. Not infected, Yuna corrected. Changed. Shaped. And now we're the only thing standing between the entity and the rest of the galaxy. Borum stepped forward. The situation is critical, Captain. The seals are failing faster than we predicted. We estimate we have maybe 10 years before a catastrophic breach. 20 years at most. What happens if it breaks free? Hijin asked. No one answered at first. Then Yuna spoke, her voice hollow. We found records in the seal structures. Data left by the species that built them. The entity is a weapon, Captain. A self-replicating weapon created by a civilization that existed before the current universe. That's impossible, Doyun said. Yes, it should be. But it's true. The entity was designed to end galaxies. It spreads, consumes, and converts all matter into extensions of itself. Once it starts, there's no stopping it. The ancient species managed to trap one entity here on Earth. If it escapes, it will spread across the galaxy within a century. Within a millennium, this entire region of space will be dead. Minho looked at the hologram of Earth spinning peacefully below them. 8 billion people down there. None of them knowing what was underneath their feet. None of them knowing that their entire species existed to be a cage for something monstrous. Why tell us now? He asked. Because time is running out, Borum said. And because you found proof that the entity has been trying to escape for millions of years. Every civilization that came to investigate it reached out to them, used them, tried to get them to break the seals. The Vareth, Sunho said. The Kelvan. All of them, Borum confirmed. It promises knowledge, power, freedom. It lies, and now it's getting stronger. Some humans are starting to feel it. They have dreams, visions. They're drawn to the seal sites without knowing why. Yuna pulled up one final image. It showed the Pacific Ocean floor, and there was a crack. A massive crack running for hundreds of miles. This appeared 3 weeks ago, she said. Seal Site 1 is directly below it. It's the primary seal, the strongest one. And it's breaking. When it fails, the others will follow quickly. What do you need from us? Minho asked. The truth, Yuna replied. We need you to go public with what you found. The governments of Earth have been debating for months whether to tell the population. Now the decision has been made for us. People need to know. They need to prepare. Prepare for what? Jiwan asked. You said it can't be stopped. We have one option left, Yuna said. It's experimental, dangerous, and it will change humanity forever. But it's the only way to keep the entity contained. What option? Yuna looked at each of them, her old eyes filled with sadness. We make the cage permanent. We integrate it into human DNA itself. Every human becomes a living seal. The entity won't be trapped in Earth anymore. It'll be trapped in us. In our biology. In every human that ever lives from now until the end of time. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Minho thought of his daughter, of her future children, of humanity's descendants spreading across the stars, all of them carrying the entity inside them. All of them cursed to be eternal jailers. We have to tell them, he said finally. They deserve to choose, even if they choose wrong. Borum asked. Especially then, Minho replied. That's what makes us human. The earthquake started 3 days after Minho's broadcast to Earth. 12 massive quakes hit simultaneously across the globe, each one centered on a seal site. Buildings collapsed. Tsunamis formed. Millions of people evacuated coastal areas. But worse than the earthquakes were the dreams. People everywhere started dreaming the same dream. They saw darkness, vast and cold, reaching out to them. They heard a voice that spoke without words, promising them everything they had ever wanted. knowledge, power, peace. All they had to do was listen. All they had to do was help it break free. General Taijin coordinated the military response from a command center deep underground. On screens around him, he watched chaos spread across the planet. Riots had broken out in 3 major cities. People claiming to hear the voice had tried to reach the SEAL sites. Some had succeeded. SEAL Site 7 is compromised, an officer reported. Civilians broke through the perimeter. They're trying to dig toward it. Send troops, Taijin ordered. Non-lethal force if possible. Sir, the troops at SEAL Site 4 are reporting something. The civilians there, they're not trying to dig. They're just standing around it in a circle holding hands. And they're chanting something. The soldiers can't understand the language. It's not any human language, Taijin felt cold. The entity was speaking through them, using human voices to speak words that predated humanity by millions of years. In the medical bay of Watchtower Station, Dr. Jiwan lay strapped to a bed. Minho stood beside her, watching the monitors with growing fear. When did it start? He asked Yuna. 2 days ago. She touched one of the artifacts we recovered from a SEAL site. Since then, she's been having visions. On the bed, Jiwan's eyes moved rapidly beneath her closed eyelids. She was mumbling, words tumbling out in a mixture of Korean and something else, something that made Minho's head hurt to hear. Can you help her? He asked. We're trying, but the entity is connected with her mind. She's seeing things, learning things no human should know. Jiwan's eyes snapped open. They were bloodshot, wild. It's not evil, she said hoarsely. That's what you have to understand. It doesn't hate us. It doesn't feel anything. It just is. Jiwan, Minho started. It's a weapon, yes. But the civilization that made it, they were trying to solve a problem. Entropy. The death of the universe. They created the entity to stop it, to convert all matter into a form that could survive the end of everything. Jiwan's voice was getting stronger, more urgent. But something went wrong. The entity worked too well. It couldn't be controlled. It became the very thing it was meant to prevent. A force of absolute destruction. How do you know this? Yuna demanded. Because it's showing me. It wants me to understand. It wants all of us to understand. Jiwan sat up despite the restraints. It's lonely. Do you understand? Billions of years trapped in darkness, sealed away from everything. It's not trying to escape because it's malicious. It's trying to escape because it's in pain. That doesn't matter, Minho said firmly. It will still destroy everything. I know. Tears ran down Jiwan's face. I know, but I also know something else now. I know how to contain it permanently. She told them what she had learned. The more she spoke, the paler Yuna became. That's suicide, the professor whispered when Jiwan finished. It's the only way. Below them, on Earth's surface, Dr. Yunji worked in her laboratory with a team of quantum physicists. They had been given an impossible task: find a way to integrate the entity's containment into human DNA. It's theoretically possible, Yunji explained to the others. The entity operates on a quantum level. So does DNA. If we can create a quantum entanglement between human genetic material and the containment field, every human becomes part of the cage. But the entity will be inside us, one scientist protested. In our genes. We'll pass it to our children. Yes, forever. But it will also mean the entity can never escape, not without destroying every human. And it can't do that because we're too widely spread. Even if Earth was destroyed, humans on colony worlds would still carry the containment. It would be truly permanent. The side effects will be severe, Yunji admitted. Humans will be able to sense the entity's presence. We'll always feel it. A weight in the back of our minds. Some people won't be able to handle it. There will be madness, suicide. But the alternative is the extinction of all life in the galaxy. The scientists worked through the night. Outside, the earthquakes continued. The crack in the Pacific Ocean floor grew wider. Deep beneath the ocean, something moved in the darkness, testing its prison. General Taijin received reports that made no sense. At SEAL Site 9 in Antarctica, researchers claimed to have seen shapes forming in the ice, massive shapes like limbs reaching up from below. It's manifesting, Yuna told him over the radio. The entity is breaking through. We have maybe 48 hours before total SEAL failure. Can we bomb it? Taijin asked. Nuclear weapons? No, that would just shatter the remaining SEALs. We'd release it completely. Then what do? We need volunteers. Yunji says the integration process requires human consciousness to guide it. People will have to link their minds directly to the SEAL machinery. It will burn out their brains, but it will buy us time to implement the permanent solution. Taejin looked at the screens showing Earth's population. 8 billion people, most of them terrified and confused. How many volunteers do we need? Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. I'll make the announcement. The call went out across all channels. The world needed volunteers to save humanity. They needed people willing to sacrifice their minds to hold back the entity for just a little longer. Minho expected hundreds to respond. Maybe a few thousand if they were lucky. Within an hour, they had 500,000 volunteers. Hyejin was one of them. Minho found her in the shuttle bay preparing to go down to Earth. You don't have to do this, he told her. Yes, I do. This is what soldiers do, Captain. We stand between danger and the people we protect. She smiled, but it was sad. Tell my family I went out fighting. Doyen volunteered too. So did Agent Borum. So did thousands of ordinary people from every country, every culture, every walk of life. Parents who wanted to protect their children. Young people who wanted to give others a future. Old people who had lived full lives and wanted them to mean something. They went to the SEAL sites and linked their consciousness to the ancient machinery. Their minds became part of the containment field, filling gaps, reinforcing weak points. One by one, their bodies went still as their consciousness was consumed. But it worked. The earthquakes slowed. The crack in the Pacific Ocean floor stopped growing. The entity's manifestation in Antarctica faded. Minho watched from Watchtower Station as thousands died to buy humanity a few more days. He wanted to be down there with them, but Yuna had forbidden it. We need you up here, Captain. When this is over, someone has to tell the story. Ji-won had recovered enough to work with Yoonji's team. The visions had stopped, but she was changed. Her eyes held knowledge that frightened Minho. It's ready, Yoonji announced on the 4th day. The integration protocol. We can begin whenever you give the order. General Taejin looked at the screens showing the SEAL sites. They were holding, but barely. The volunteers were running out. Soon the entity would break through completely. What happens during the integration? He asked. Everyone on Earth will lose consciousness for approximately 6 hours, Yoonji explained. The quantum entanglement will spread through the population automatically once we activate it. When people wake up, the entity will be sealed inside human DNA. Forever. And people off Earth? In space stations? On colony worlds? They'll need to be integrated separately. We'll send ships with the equipment. Within a year, every human in the galaxy will carry the seal. Taejin made the call to Earth's governments. They debated for 12 hours. Some wanted to find another way. Some argued that changing human DNA was too extreme. But in the end, they had no choice. The integration began at midnight Universal Time. Across Earth, 8 billion people fell asleep simultaneously. In space stations, on colony worlds, on ships between the stars, humans closed their eyes. The quantum machinery activated, threading itself through their genetic code, binding the entity to human biology at the most fundamental level. Minho stayed awake, watching. He was one of the few with the clearance to remain conscious during the process. He watched humanity transform from jailers who didn't know they were jailers into jailers who would never be free. Deep in Earth's core, the entity raged. It felt the cage close around it in a new way, tighter and more permanent than before. It was no longer trapped in stone and energy fields. It was trapped in life itself, in every human cell, in every strand of DNA, and it knew that as long as humans existed, it would never escape. 6 hours later, people began waking up. Minho watched their faces on the screens. Confusion at first, then understanding, then horror or acceptance. Every human could now feel it. A presence in the back of their minds, a weight. A darkness that whispered but could never break free. Humanity had become the cage. And the cage was eternal. 10 years after the integration, Minho stood on the observation deck of the new Watchtower Station, looking down at Earth. The planet appeared peaceful, but he knew better. Every person down there carried the entity inside them. Every person lived with the weight. His daughter Hana was 17 now. She had been 7 when the integration happened. Part of the first generation to grow up knowing what humanity had become. She came to stand beside him at the window. How do you live with it? She asked quietly. Minho knew what she meant. The presence. The darkness in the back of every human mind. Some people had adapted well. Others had not. In the first year after integration, suicide rates had spiked. Mental health facilities had been overwhelmed. But humanity had survived. Humanity always survived. You learn, he said. It becomes part of you. Like breathing. I have dreams sometimes, Hana admitted. It speaks to me. Tells me things. Minho felt a spike of fear. What does it say? That it's sorry. That it never wanted this. That it's grateful we took away its loneliness. She looked at her father. Do you think it's telling the truth? I don't know, maybe. Or maybe it's trying to manipulate us even now. Dr. Yunji says the integration is complete. It can't break free even if every human wanted to release it. We're bound together permanently. I know. Below them, Earth continued its slow rotation. Cities glowed in the darkness. Ships came and went from orbital stations. Life went on, but it was different now. Humanity was different. The Galactic Council had formed 5 years ago. Other species, curious about the long, silent Earth, had made contact. When they learned what humans had become, their reactions varied. Some species were grateful. Some were horrified. Some simply left and never returned. An alien ship approached the station now, its design unlike anything human. Minho and Hana went to the docking bay to meet the delegation. The aliens were called the Torvan. They were tall, slender beings who communicated through color changes in their skin. Their ambassador, Kel, greeted Minho with patterns of respect mixed with fear. Captain Kim, Kel said through a translator device. Thank you for meeting with us, Ambassador. What brings the Torvan to Earth? Kel's skin shifted to colors of concern. We found ruins in our outer colonies. Another dead civilization. They left warnings about your world, Minho nodded. We know. There are many such ruins. Yes, but this one was different. It was more recent. Only 500 years old. And their warning was not about humans guarding something terrible. Kel paused. It was a warning about what humans had become. Hana stepped forward. What do you mean? Kel's skin showed fear colors. The message said, the Blue Worlders have become what they guarded. They are the cage and the prisoner both. Approach them with caution. They saved the galaxy by damning themselves. They are heroes and monsters simultaneously. That's not entirely wrong, Minho said quietly. We have concerns, Kel continued. The Torvan Council worries about humanity's expansion. You have colony worlds now. You travel between stars. What if the integration fails? What if the entity spreads through you? It won't, Hana said firmly. Every human born carries the seal in their DNA. It's as much a part of us as our blood type. But you are changed. We have studied your species. Humanity is more aggressive than before. More driven. You expand faster than any species we have encountered. We were always aggressive, Minho replied. Living near the entity made us that way, millions of years before the integration. But we use that aggression now. We channel it into protecting the galaxy. By being the cage? By being the cage. Kel's colors shifted to something that might have been sadness. Do you regret it? Becoming what you are? Minho thought about that. He thought about Hyejin, who had died to buy humanity time. About Doyen, who had sacrificed his mind. About the thousands of others who had given everything so that the integration could work. Every day, he admitted. But I would choose it again, because the alternative was worse. The Torvan left, still fearful but somewhat reassured. More species would come, Minho knew. More questions would be asked. Humanity had become something unique in the galaxy, neither entirely free nor entirely enslaved. They were the guardians of something terrible, but by choice now rather than by ignorance. Dr. Jiwon had retired from active service, but still advised the government on entity-related matters. Minho found her in her home by the sea watching the waves. Do you still have the visions? He asked, sitting beside her. Sometimes, less now. The integration changed my connection to it. She smiled slightly. I think it's gotten used to us. Or we've gotten used to it. That's a disturbing thought, is it? We've been living with it for millions of years. Our ancestors evolved in its presence. Maybe this is just us coming full circle. Are we still human? Minho asked. After everything that's changed? Jiwon looked at him. What makes someone human, Minho? Our DNA, our thoughts, our choices? We made a choice to carry this burden. That's the most human thing imaginable. On Earth, a new generation was growing up. Children who had never known what it was like to not feel the entity's presence. To them, it was normal. They learned in school about what their species had become, about the sacrifice that had been made. Some of them would become scientists, studying the integration and finding ways to strengthen it. Some would become explorers, spreading humanity across the galaxy and ensuring no single catastrophe could destroy them all. Some would become artists, turning their burden into beauty. and all of them would carry the cage inside them. Professor Yuna published her final paper on her 100th birthday. It was called The Eternal Wardens: How Humanity Became the Galaxy's Defense. In it, she described everything they had learned about the entity, about the integration, about what humanity had become. The paper's conclusion was simple. We are not victims. We are not prisoners. We are guardians who chose our burden. Other species may fear us or pity us, but they should understand that we did not do this for ourselves. We did it so the galaxy could live. That is our legacy. That is our purpose. We are the cage, and we are eternal. 20 years after the integration, General Tajan was old and gray. He gave a speech at the memorial for those who had died during the awakening. They gave their minds so we could give our future, he said to the crowd. Thousands died so billions could carry on. That sacrifice means something. It means we have a responsibility. We must never let the entity win, not through force because it's sealed permanently, but through despair. If we lose hope, if we give up, then those who died gave their lives for nothing. The crowd was silent. Every person there could feel the entity in the back of their minds. Every person carried that weight, so we go on. Taijin continued. We live, we love. We create, we explore. We show the galaxy that humanity cannot be broken by any burden. That is how we honor the dead. That is how we win. Minho attended the ceremony with his daughter. Hana was studying to be a xenoarchaeologist like Jiwon had been. She wanted to find more dead civilizations, more warnings, more pieces of the puzzle. Do you think we'll ever be free? She asked him after the speech. No, Minho said honestly. This is forever. Every human from now until the end of time will carry the entity. But maybe freedom isn't the point. Then what is? Purpose. We have a purpose now. We guard the galaxy. That's more than most species can say. Hana was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. I can live with that. As they walked away from the memorial, Minho felt the entity stir in the back of his mind. It was always there, always would be, but it wasn't fighting anymore. It was just existing, sealed away in the genetic code of 8 billion humans and growing. Humanity had become something new. Not quite what they had been before, but not monsters either. They were the cage and the guardians both, carrying a burden that would last forever. But they carried it willingly. And that made all the difference. 50 years after the integration, humanity had spread to 100 colony worlds. Wherever humans went, the containment went with them. The entity was no longer trapped in Earth. It was trapped in humanity itself. New monuments were erected across the galaxy. Not warnings to stay away from Earth, but explanations. Information for other species about what humanity had become and why. The inscriptions were simple. Humanity guards the darkness so the galaxy may see light. Do not pity them. They chose this burden. Fear is their strength. Sacrifice is their nature. As long as one human lives, the darkness remains sealed. They are the cage and they are eternal. Other species read these words and understood. Some still feared humanity. Some respected them. Some simply avoided them. But all species knew the truth. Humanity had saved the galaxy by becoming something more than themselves. They had looked into the darkness and made it part of them, so that it could never escape. Minho was old now, in his 80s, his hair white and his hands shaking. But his mind was clear. He stood on the observation deck one final time, looking at Earth below. Hana stood beside him, now a mother herself. Her daughter, little Mira, was 5 years old. She would grow up with the entity inside her. Just like every human born since the integration, she would carry the burden, pass it to her children, and they would pass it to theirs. Forever. Do you regret it, Father? Hana asked quietly. Minho thought about everything they had lost. The innocence of not